It says that allele frequencies in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation. So remember that allele frequencies in a population are stable and constant from generation to generation. That means they don't change at all. They don't change at all. So let us see, does it really work in a population or not? So in a gene pool is the total gene alleles in a population. Gene pool is the total genes and their alleles in a population, which remains constant. Which remains constant. This is called as genetic equilibrium. Genetic equilibrium or Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So the sum total of all the allelic frequencies is equal to 1. That is what they say. It is the sum total of all the frequencies which is equal to 1. So let's go now. In a diploid organism, a diploid organism will always have two alleles. Two alleles. Okay. Let us consider those alleles to be capital A, which is dominant, and small a, which is recessive. So the frequency of capital A is P, and the frequency of small a is Q. So remember this. So the frequency of capital A is P square. That is the probability of an allele A with frequency P is the product of the probabilities. Then the frequency of small a is Q square, and the frequency of capital A small a is 2PQ. Hence P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is always equal to 1. So remember that these are very important. Usually there are questions asked on this. Okay. So P plus 2 the whole square is equal to P square plus 2PQ plus Q square, which is equal to 1. This is a binomial expression of P plus Q the whole square. So any change in the frequencies of alleles in a population causes disturbance in genetic equilibrium. Understand this? It will cause disturbance in genetic equilibrium. This change is due to evolution. So always remember this. What 1 we are seeing here and what P and Q we are seeing here will not remain the same generation after generation. Generation after generation, it keeps changing. It keeps changing. So, what are the factors that affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium? Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. It is gene migration, also called gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, and natural selection. So, gene flow or gene migration, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, and natural selection. Let us go one by one. What is gene migration? What is gene migration or gene flow? So it is the flow of genes from one population to another. It is the flow of genes from one population to another. Here, gene frequencies changes in both the population. Here, gene frequencies change in both the population. Understand this. Here, gene frequencies change in both the population. Why? From one population. So there are individuals living and joining the other population. Let us consider there is a population A and there is a population B. So there are some people coming from population A and joining B. So this one will also change. Why? It is losing some individuals. Whereas here it will change. Why? Somebody is getting added to this population. So this you have to remember. Okay. So here gene frequencies change in both the population. So there would be a gene flow. If migration happens multiple times. If migration happens multiple times. Then what is genetic drift? Genetic drift. It is the accidental gene flow causing gene frequency change. Okay. It is a accidental gene flow. Okay. Causing change in frequency. Causing change in frequency. Sometimes the change in frequency is so different in the new sample of the population that they become different species. But they become different species. So the originally drifted population becomes founder, and the effect is called founder's effect. And the effect is called founder's effect. Okay. The effect is called founder's effect. Understand this? If there is a population, so here they have given a simple diagram here, picture here. So we have a bottle with blue and yellow colored marbles in it. So some of them we are putting it into a population. Then there are some surviving individuals there, which will keep on growing themselves without mixing up with the previous population, and they all become different species, and the original drifted population becomes founder. So imagine there is a population X. Okay, so the population X, there are a lot of people here in this population. What will some of these people do? They will go to a new region. Okay, they will leave this place and they are surviving here. So understand this. So there is a population X here. Few people have left this population X here and have reached another population and they have come here. After coming here, what happened? Based on the environmental conditions or other factors, they have changed. And this new group of individuals here, which evolve, are called as founders because they have become founding structures for a new population. So remember this is very important. Genetic drift. Then mutation. Pre-existing advantageous mutations result in new phenotypes over few generations. This results in speciation. This results in speciation. Understand this? Mutations will result in speciation. Then we'll go to natural selection. There are three types of natural selection. The first one, stabilizing selection, directional selection, and disruptive selection. Let us go with stabilizing selection. What happens in stabilizing selection? Here more individuals acquire mean character value. That means what is the best character value? That is will be taken up by more individuals. Okay, mean character value, and the variation is reduced. Understand this, here variation is reduced. So what is happening? So this is extreme ones. These are medium sized ones. So it is favoring the medium sized one. This is most favored. So what is happening? There are no extreme ones here. Only the medium ones are surviving. So here we acquire the mean character value and the variation is reduced. So understand this. This is very important. Stabilizing selection. Whereas when we come to directional selection, what happens in directional selection? Here individuals of one extreme are more favored. So see here, one extreme is more favored, so it is leaving the population and it is moving towards this side. And it is moving to one side. So it is directional selection. Then next one. In disruptive selection, here individuals of both extremes are favored. So what is happening? Here this one is gone. This one is not there here. So here this part and this part would be favored. So which would evolve into two major extremes here. Okay. So both extremes will be favored. This is disruptive. This will lead to loss of the original one and formation of a two new groups. Okay. So we'll come to how evolution has taken place from many years. So from the formation of Earth. The first one is Proterozoic era. Proterozoic era, which is 200 million years ago. 200 million years ago, the first cellular forms of life came into picture. 200 million years ago, the first cellular forms of life came into picture. Some of the cells had the ability to release O2 as the light reaction in photosynthesis. Some of them could produce oxygen. Then single-celled organisms to multicellular organisms started evolving in this era. Then we come to the Paleozoic era. It is 500 million years ago. Invertebrates came into picture. Invertebrates came into picture. Then 400 to 600 million years ago, first land organisms came into picture. 400 million years ago, arthropods invaded the land. If somebody asks you which was the first group of organisms to invade land, usually students answer it as reptiles, because they would be thinking all the organisms are still in water and only after fish, amphibians came in, and after amphibians, reptiles came in. Actually, arthropods was the first organism to come over to land. Then 350 million years ago, jawless fish, fish with stout and strong fins, could move on land and go back to water. Then 320 million years ago, seaweeds and few plants were formed and amphibians and reptiles came in. So the characteristic feature of reptiles was that they could lay thick shelled eggs, thick shelled eggs with a calcareous shell. Shelled eggs with a calcareous shell, that is cleidoic eggs, which do not dry up in the sun, unlike the amphibians. In the next 200 million years ago, reptiles dominated the earth, that is, all the dinosaurs. Then giant ferns were there, that is, pteridophytes were there, which were present, but they all fell to form coal deposits slowly. So all the coal that we have today is because of the pteridophytes that were there in the Paleozoic era. In the Paleozoic era, understand this? Then in 1938, a ceriosant, okay, a fish was caught in South Africa which was thought to be extinct. But these animals called lobe fins, okay, animals called lobe fins evolved into the first amphibians. Okay. Then we go to the next slide now. Go to the next era. So in the 325 million year old lobefish, ceriosant, is still very much alive. So they are very similar to the old ones. Ceriosant, lobefish. So this is a fossil. So it has not changed much. Okay. Then we come to the Mesozoic era. In the Mesozoic era, it is at 200 million years ago. Some of the land reptiles went back into water. To evolve into fish-like reptiles. Example: Ichthyosaurus. Then land reptiles were dinosaurs. They included Tyrannosaurus rex, which is the largest dinosaur, which is 20 feet in height, huge, fearsome dagger-like teeth. Then Triceratops. All these were the few dinosaurs that were found in the Mesozoic era. Then comes the Ichthyosaurus. These were the reptiles. Then comes the Cenozoic era. This is very important. It is 65 million years ago. In the Cenozoic era, dinosaurs suddenly disappeared. First mammals came into picture. So first mammals, shrew-like. Shrew is the smallest mammal. Their fossils are small sized, whereas in South America there were mammals resembling the horse, hippopotamus, bear, rabbit, etc. Due to continental drift, when South America joined North America, these animals were overridden by North American fauna. Fauna means animals. Then, due to continental drift, Australian marsupials survived due to lack of competition from other mammals. There were other mammals, so they survived. Please have a look at this. This is very, very important. So usually when something on time scale is asked, so please you have to remember this picture. So this is very, very important. Then here, all this eras, periods, epochs. Now we come to human evolution. So one of the oldest human fossil that we have got for evolution is Dryopithecus, which was 15 million years ago. Hairy, walk like gorillas and chimpanzees. Can you see it? Walk like gorillas and chimpanzees. Dryopithecus were more ape-like, whereas Ramapithecus was more man-like. Okay, was more man-like. Okay, Remember this, very important. Dryopithecus more ape-like, Ramapithecus was more man-like. Few fossils of the man, like the bones discovered in Ethiopia and Tanzania. They were found in Ethiopia and Tanzania. So remember this, very important. Then we go to the next slide. Here, 3 to 4 million years ago, man-like primates originated which were 3 to 4 feet in height. Then about 2 to 2 million years ago, a next fossil came about which is Australopithecus. Australopithecus was found in East African grasslands which hunted with stone weapons and it ate fruits. It hunted with stone weapons and ate fruits. Then we have the Homo habilis. Homo habilis. It was first human-like being, which was a hominid. The brain capacity was 650 to 800 cc. 650 to 800 cc. It did not eat meat. Remember this. Homo habilis. Then Homo erectus. It was 1.5 million years ago. 1.5 million years ago, it had a large brain that is 900 cc. 900 cc. Homo erectus, very close relative of humans. So it was 40,000 to 1 lakh years ago. Brain was brain was 1400 cc, almost the same as modern humans. Lived in East and Central Asia. He used hides of skin to protect their body and they buried their dead. Then after that, only after 10,000 to 75,000 years ago, okay, the Homo sapiens came into picture. Homo sapiens came into picture. So they have a prehistoric cave art which developed about 18,000 years ago. Agriculture and human settlements came about 10,000 years ago. Remember this. So this brings you to the end of this chapter. This brings you to the end of this chapter. So after this, we'll solve few MCQs. Few MCQs. So we'll solve MCQs now. So usually there are a lot of questions based on time periods, then about the connecting links and about theories. So here we have a question. So the question is, the first question, universe originated. So universe originated about, please tell me students, it would be 10 to 20 billion years ago. 10 to 20 billion years ago. Then we go to the next question. The first genetic material was most likely a, please answer. The first genetic material was, please, sorry, you answer, you try to answer the questions as soon as you get it. So it is a RNA polymer. It is a RNA polymer. It is not a DNA polymer. It is not a protein enzyme. It is not a DNA oligonucleotide. It's a RNA polymer because when we look at Urey-Miller's experiment, uracil was one of the nitrogen bases that was found out. So remember this. This is very important. Then the third one, swan neck flask experiment was done by Louis Pasteur. Was done by Louis Pasteur. So C is the correct answer. The others didn't do it. So the energy used in Miller experiment was, it was not atomic radiation, electric spark is right, photo energy they didn't use, mechanical energy they didn't use. The correct answer is B. Correct answer is B. Haeckel's theory of recapitulation means, so Haeckel gave a statement, ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. So I'll write down ontogeny Ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. What is ontogeny? Ontogeny means developmental stages and the life history. Life history. Phylogeny means evolutionary history. Evolutionary history. So the correct answer is A. So life history of an organism will reflect the evolutionary history. So this is wrong. Okay. So the lost body parts are regenerated. What is it called? It is called regeneration. Regeneration. Then we go to the next question. In which period of Paleozoic era first vertebrate appeared? So they've asked in which period of Paleozoic era the first vertebrate originated. So first vertebrate would be a fish. So which period of Paleozoic era first vertebrate appeared? So it is in the Devonian period. It is in the Devonian period. It is in the Devonian period. Okay. So in the Devonian period, the first vertebrate appeared in the form of a primitive fish. Form of a primitive fish. In the form of a primitive fish. Okay. So the Devonian period is somewhere around 367.5 million years ago. Okay. So Devonian in the form of a primitive fish. We'll go to the next one. The greatest evolutionary change enabling land vertebrates. So land vertebrates means reptiles, mammals, and birds. Okay. So here they say land vertebrates to be completely free from water was development of. So here, when you look at the evolution, we have fish. From the fish, what came up? Amphibians. From the amphibians, we have the reptiles. So we have the reptiles. So from amphibians, what comes to the reptiles so that they could leave water and completely come on land. Okay. So amphibians also had four legs. Amphibians also had four legs. So four leg is not the character. Amphibians also had lungs. Lung is not the character. If you look at all these frogs and all of them, they have lungs. Then shelled eggs and internal fertilization. Very good. Four-chambered heart is not found in both of them. So this is not the answer. C is the answer. I'll tell you why. C is the answer. Why is C the answer? They say shelled eggs and internal fertilization. You look at amphibians. So they don't have shelled eggs. They don't have shelled eggs, and it is external fertilization. It is external fertilization. So what is happening? Where is the external fertilization taking place? The external fertilization is actually taking place inside water. Inside water. For that, they are having eggs which are covered over by a jelly coat and all that. Whereas in the case of reptiles, they are shelled eggs. They'll have lot of calcium deposits over it. They are shelled eggs, also called as cleidoic eggs. So remember this, very important. So C is the correct answer. Then eighth one, Urey-Miller experiment mixture had the following except. So what was not there in Urey-Miller experiment? That is what they asked. So they had used all the ones that were in the primitive atmosphere. So remember this, they used all that was there in primitive atmosphere. So remember that. So here they had methane, they had hydrogen, they had water vapor. The only thing they didn't have is carbon dioxide. So B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Then the age of man in geology is. So man is the most complex vertebrate that we have seen till now. So they have asked here, what is the geological time period where the man was present? The age of man in geology is. So the age of man in geology is the Mesozoic era. Is the Mesozoic era. So Cenozoic era is also known as Cenozoic era is also known as age of mammals and modern flora. Then, which of the following is the cause of speciation? So, what do you mean by speciation? A new species is formed. Then, mutation is one of the causes. Let us see. What is point mutation? Change in one base pair. Change in one base actually. Change in one base is called as point mutation. What about gross mutation? Gross mutation is the total mutation that takes place. This is the total mutation that takes place. Okay, so this is also right, this is also right. So we can see C as an answer. So C is the perfect answer. C is the perfect answer. Then we go to the next one. Resistance to pesticides, antibiotic resistance in bacteria, and sickle cell anemia are examples of so remember we told about resistance to pesticides, antibiotic resistance. Those are all by humans. So it is not inverse mutation. So it is actually natural selection. Then lethal genes, it is not right. All of the above is not right. The correct answer is natural selection. Natural selection. Natural selection by anthropogenic action. By anthropogenic action. Next, the greatest weakness in Darwin theory was his failure to explain. The greatest weakness in Darwin theory was his failure to explain. So, overproduction he could explain, struggle for existence he could explain, survival of the fittest he could explain. He couldn't explain variation. He couldn't explain why variation takes place. See, he was influenced by Malthus' work, so he could explain why organisms produce more number of offsprings, okay, and the maximum number that they could produce in their lifetime. So overproduction is there. Struggle for existence. What is struggle for existence? So organisms will struggle with other organisms along with the organisms of the same species for food, space, mates, and all that, and they struggle for existence. And the survivor, the one which survives, should be able to produce maximum number of offsprings. So here fitness is not about physical fitness, it's about reproductive fitness. Then variation. Variation was told by other scientists, it was not by Darwin. Then analogous structures are. Please tell me. So here, analogous structures, structurally they are not similar. Homologous structures are structurally similar. Functionally similar. Yes, it is correct. Structurally and functionally similar is wrong. Normally non-functional is wrong. So B is the correct answer. So B is the correct answer. Go to the next one. Which of the following evidences does not favor the Lamarckian concept? So what does it say? Okay, does not favor the Lamarckian concept. The Lamarckian concept is all about inheritance of acquired characters and inheritance of acquired characters and use and disuse concept. So understand this. So absence of limbs in snake. So it favors Lamarckian concept. The presence of web toes in aquatic birds, it favors Lamarckian concept. Why? This is about disuse. A is about disuse. Absence of limbs. So if you are not using it, it is gone. B, presence of web toes. If you are doing it, it is well developed. B is also right. Melanization of peppered moth in industrial area. So this is not an example for Lamarckian concept. It is about natural selection. D, lack of pigment in cave dwelling animals. So this option says about Lamarckian concept. So C is the correct answer. So they've asked which does not. Which does not. So C is the correct answer. Okay. So other statements are correct. So C is the correct answer. The present giraffe has a long neck as compared to its ancestors. Lamarck believed it to be due to. So as soon as they come here, it is not about natural selection, it is not about isolation, it is inheritance of acquired character. It is inheritance of acquired character. Remember this. It is inheritance of acquired character. Then, for evolutionary success, mutation must occur in. For evolutionary success, mutation must occur in. So, what do you mean? For evolutionary success, mutation must occur in means it should occur in such places where it should be passed on to the next generation. It should be passed on to the next generation, which is very, very important. If it is not passed on to the next generation, what is the whole point in having mutation? Having mutation. So think, when you think at questions like this, you should always remember that if it is occurring somatic cells, it will remain in the same generation and it is not passed on. If it occurs in germplasm DNA, it is absolutely right. Germplasm does not have RNA. So C is the correct answer. If it has to be passed on to the next generation, it should take place in germplasm DNA. Germplasm DNA. Then the theory of saltation was given by. So what do you mean by saltation? So what do you mean by saltation? Saltation means single step large mutation. Single step large mutation. Okay. So here it was given by Mendel, Hugo de Rice, James Hardane, and H. J. Miller. It was actually given by Hugo de Rice, who spoke about mutation. Okay. So single step large mutation or single step large evolution. So both you use it almost synonymously here. Hugo de Rice is the correct answer. Then, which of the following is used to determine whether two populations belong to the same species? So, if they belong to the same species, they should be able to interbreed and produce fertile offsprings. So, just because of color, we can't say that size range is wrong, habitat choice is wrong. A is the correct answer. Ability to interbreed. Ability to interbreed. Understand this. Then, transfer of genes from one gene pool to another. What is it called? Transfer of genes from one gene pool to another. Remember, it is not genetic drift, it is gene flow. So, from one population, if they are moving to another population, individuals of one population are moving to another population, then it is gene flow. Then, Hardy-Weinberg used the binomial expression p square plus 2pq plus q square to calculate the genotype and allele frequency of a population. In this equation, p is, so always remember, p is for dominant allele. P is for dominant allele, whereas q is for recessive allele. So here the correct answer is frequency of dominant allele. So for this one, what should be the answer? It should be Q. For this it is P. For homozygous dominant, P square. For this one it should be Q square. Q square. Understand this? So B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Then, which of the following would cause phenotypic variation among the organisms of the same genotype? Which of the following would cause phenotypic variation among the organisms of the same genotype? So, phenotypic variation with the same genotype. Genotype does not change, but still the external characters changes. Continuous variation within the species is wrong. Different varieties of the same species is wrong. Different sexes is wrong. Exposure to different environment. Yes, Based on exposure to different environment, certain phenotypic characters might change. For example, in humans, if there are twins, both of them will have absolutely the same genotype. And if you make one twin to be exposed to sunlight for a longer period of time, his skin would get tanned. The other person, if you don't expose him to that much of sunlight, his skin wouldn't get tanned. So exposure to different environments. Then, which one of the following features is an example of discontinuous variation in man? To understand this is discontinuous variation. So you should see the same genotype or the phenotype in the next generation also, sometimes may not also. So height, it is continuous variation, body mass is continuous variation, intelligence is continuous variation. The correct answer is blood group. So how is that? So for example, if a father is having A blood group and the mother is having O blood group, the chances of the children can be either A or O. So is there variation here? No. Same as here. Can you see here? Sometimes there can be other variations also. The father is AB and the mother is O. The children can be A or B will be there. So there is variation. Whereas here there is no variation. So this can keep changing. This can keep changing. So it is discontinuous variation is in blood group. Next, 24th one. The total collection of genes at one time in a unit of evolution is called. So any one time in a unit of evolution. So genotype is the genetic constitution of an individual. Demotype is wrong. Multiple age group is wrong. The correct answer is gene pool. The correct answer is gene pool. It is the sum total of all the alleles or genes in a unit of evolution. Then, so this is a good question. Imagine a population of 100 snails in which shell color is controlled by. So shell color is controlled by two alleles, capital B, that is dominant, and small b, which is recessive. Capital B will bring about black color, small b will bring about yellow color. What is the total number of loci for the gene for shell color in this population? What is the total number of loci for the gene for shell color in this population? Understand this. So for shell color, if there is one individual, then that individual is diploid. Each individual will have two alleles. If they are having two alleles, then for 100 individuals, the correct answer will be 200. 100 into 2. So 200 is the correct answer. So 200 is the correct answer. Why? Each individual would have two alleles. 100 into 2, which will give you 200. Okay? Remember, 200. Then industrial melanism is an example of. Industrial melanism is an example of. So we'll go one by one. Drug resistance is wrong. Darkening of skin due to smoke from industries, that is also wrong. Then protective resemblance with the surroundings, yes, that is correct. Defensive adaptation of skin against ultraviolet radiation is wrong. So C is the correct answer. So this will not as much give much importance to evolution, but more of a common sense type of question. Which of the following are fossils? Which of the following are fossils? So, pollen grains buried in the bottom of peat bogs. Yes, it is correct. Pollen grains which are buried in the bottom of peat bogs. Yes. Petrified cast of clams burrow. So that is also correct. Impression. A clamshell made in mud preserved in mud snow. That is also correct. So the correct answer is all of the above. Fossils can be whole individuals, parts of individuals, impressions, their fecal matter, all that will come into picture. All that is correct. Okay. So any of those will make fossils. What is Lamarck credited with? So Lamarck is credited with, we'll go with one, natural selection as a mechanism of evolution, wrong. Observation of mass extinction, wrong. Mechanism to explain evolution, wrong. The discovery of giraffe. He was the first person to bring about the concept of giraffe. Then, what are dinosaurs? Dinosaurs, we look at them. Extinct amphibians, wrong. Extinct reptiles, correct. Primitive mammals, wrong. Living reptiles, wrong. It is extinct reptiles. Those are extinct reptiles. Then, in absolute dating, this is correct. Primitive mammals, wrong. Living reptiles, wrong. It is extinct reptiles. Those are extinct reptiles. Then, in absolute dating, the age of rock or fossil is determined by. So, it is not on depth of the rock, it is not exposure of the rock, it is based on decay of radioactive. So, what do you mean by decay of radioactive? We try to calculate the half-life, and then try to find out which organism is dead. Okay, then natural selection theory was given by. So, who gave natural selection theory? Natural selection theory was given by Darwin. Was given by Darwin. Who got realized about mutation? Lamarck used this use. Wallace provided experimental proof for Darwin's theory. Then, who gave the principle that man tends to multiply more rapidly than the food supply? So here remember, it was not Darwin, it was given by Malthus. Malthus worked on human populations. Malthus was the person who worked on human population, and Darwin was influenced by the work of Malthus. Then 33. The possibilities of heredity and evolutionary changes are greatest in species which are reproduced by those which reproduce by sexual means will have lot of variation. Those by fission is asexual, budding is asexual, and by asexual means, in asexual means it is not possible. Why? All the ones that are produced are clones. Understand this? Budding also is asexual, fission is also asexual. So there is no change in the individual. They are absolutely same in genotype as well as phenotype. So the correct answer is sexual means. So origin of life occurred in. So here they have given different eras. So think students, so when they ask origin of life, you should go to the most previous one. Okay, so Mesozoic era and all that, it didn't happen. So it occurred in, think they have given Precambrian, Cenozoic, it is wrong, Paleozoic, it is wrong, it is Precambrian era. So understand, it occurred in Precambrian era. So the correct answer is Precambrian era. Then assertion: the earliest organisms that appeared on Earth were non-green. That means they could not photosynthesize, and presumably anaerobes. That is correct. That is correct. The statement is correct. So the earliest organisms that appeared on Earth were non-green and presumably anaerobic because there was no oxygen. They all survived without oxygen, and they were non-green because they were not photosynthetic. They were chemosynthetic. Okay. Then the first autotrophic organisms were chemoautotropes that released oxygen. This is also true. So here both assertion and reason are true. But let us see whether the reason is correct as for assertion. The first autotrophic organisms were chemoautotropes. That is what they are given, and that never released oxygen. The reason is also correct. So the correct answer is A. Okay. So we'll stop here, students. All of you do solve questions and do well in your exams. Thank you.